Welcome to Chicago Bears Now. Day one of NFL free agency continues. The only signing the Bears have made today is DeAndre Swift. We do have some cap updates on that, though. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But lots of action in the NFC North that I thought was worth hitting on here. So let's get into it and how it could impact Justin Fields. Well, Kirk Cousins leaving the division, signing with the Atlanta Falcons on a monster contract. 4 years, $180 million. That's $45 million per year. He gets $100 million guaranteed as his agent honestly belongs in the Pro Football Hall of Fame at this point. He heads south, so kind of twofold. Sure, you get him out of the division, but you take away a potential Justin Fields trade destination as Atlanta gets their guy in Kirk Cousins. We'll talk about the field side of it in a second, but I'll be honest, from an NFC North standpoint, I think right now the Vikings are a pretty clear fourth team in this division. I think you'd probably have to give Detroit the top spot. They just made the NFC Championship game. Still have to go Packers 2, Bears 3. I think the Bears can close that gap between 1 and 3, 1 and 2, et cetera, wherever you think the Bears come into play. They still have a lot of moving parts here with free agency, et cetera. But Minnesota, I think, is entering a transition year. I think they're probably going to sign a bridge quarterback. There's some Sam Darnold buzz there, and then probably draft a quarterback. They could even trade up for one like a J.J. McCarthy, but they clearly were not going to give Kirk Cousins $100 million guaranteed. So they let him go. To bring that back to Justin Fields, it kind of makes you wonder, where do things sit for Fields right now? What is his market? I think that's a bit unclear, but at the same time, maybe now that market starts to develop because all the veteran starter types are gone, right? Russell Wilson to Pittsburgh, Baker Mayfield back to Tampa Bay, Kirk Cousins to Atlanta. So where does that leave Justin Fields? Could the Giants get in on Justin Fields? Do the Vikings in the division get in on Justin Fields? Do the Raiders make a push for Justin Fields, even though Luke Getzey's there and that could be an awkward reunion? It's still an upgrade from what they have in Aiden O'Connell. I wouldn't completely dismiss that, but that's kind of it on the starting market right now. Giants, Vikings, Raiders. If none of those three teams bite, I think Justin Fields, unless the Bears keep him, which they could, whether it's as a starter or as a backup, I think even if they keep him, they're drafting a quarterback, but I don't really want to focus on if he stays, what it looks like as much. I still think they're going to draft Caleb Williams until proven otherwise. But there might be a scenario here where Justin Fields has to be a backup in 2024, which I think is kind of bogus. I definitely think he's a starting caliber quarterback. We'll explore some of those teams, what that could be here in just a moment. But I want to know from you guys, will the Bears trade Justin Fields? I still think they will. Type T for trade or K for keep. Let me know in the comments. Pin comment on today's video. Will the Bears trade Justin Fields? Type T for trade or K for keep. I think they will eventually trade him. When, I'm not sure. Could the Seahawks be interested? That's a team that there's been some chatter there. Brad Spielberger threw them out there as a possibility. Drew Lock's a free agent, the backup to Geno, so he'd be natural backup to Geno. Geno's contract is pretty easy to get out of after this year, so maybe if Fields impresses enough, he could be the starter in 2025. I wonder if a team like the Chargers could be interested. Jim Harbaugh saw Justin Fields kick his ass at Michigan 2 years in a row. Greg Roman's there, who works with Lamar Jackson as a running quarterback. Could that be a fit behind Justin Herbert? They could even maybe they have a Justin Fields package. I'm not sure. Could a team like the Rams or 49ers bring him in as a backup? Maybe. Ravens, Eagles, both who have dual threat quarterbacks. I think he'd be natural fits there. I think Fields should be a starter, but there are guys in the league every year that are starting caliber that don't start because for varying reasons, contracts, they're going with the rookie, whatever the case may be. So this market seems to be dwindling. There doesn't seem to be a lot of destinations for where Justin Fields could go and start. I still think if I was the Raiders, I would make that call. If nothing, I was told in Indianapolis that Luke Getzey likes Justin Fields. It just wasn't a perfect X's and O's fit. Well, he's worked with him for 2 years, so he at least knows what his strengths and weaknesses are, and Aiden O'Connell stinks. So Fields would be a clear upgrade there. I'd be interested to see if the Raiders get back in the mix. I think that's a decent option for them. They're picking at 13, so getting up high in the draft to take one of the top guys seems unlikely. So we'll see. I don't think the Giants make a move. I don't think Denver makes a move for Justin Fields, but not a ton of options left. I mean, Kirk Cousins going to Atlanta isn't super ideal because, A, it takes them out of the Fields market, and B, I could totally see Atlanta at number 8 sniping the last receiver potentially if Malik Neighbors or Rome Odunze is still there. So that's not the most ideal situation either. All right, today's show sponsored by Prize Picks. We'll get back to some NFL free agency news in a second, but you got to get signed up with Prize Picks. Daily fantasy made easy with Prize Picks. You can test your skills on a daily basis, challenge yourselves, take more or less on different statistical projections Prize Picks offers in the NBA, college basketball. You got the NHL, esports as well. You also get injury assurance or insurance. What does that mean? If one of your players in your 3, 4, 5, 6-player entry gets injured in the first half of that game, they'll just remove them from the entry and you still have your entry alive. Now, if it's an injury in the third or fourth quarter, that it doesn't apply. But if you have Luka Doncic more than 34.5 points and he gets hurt in the first quarter, you're good. They're not going to hold that against you. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS to get a deposit match up to $100 when you sign up. You can find it easily in your app store. The logo's down there in the corner. This is my 3-player entry tonight. Luka Doncic, points, rebounds, assists. I like the more there. He's had 6 straight 30-point triple-doubles. DeMar DeRozan's been cooking. I'm a little less on Nikola Vucevic tonight as the Mavericks play the Bulls. 10 to win 50 on this player entry. You can win up to 100 times your entry right now if you got some demons in your picks. Demons basically juice the stats where they're harder to hit, but if you do hit, you can make a lot of money. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS to get started today. Okay, let's go around the NFC North here. This is what the Vikings have done to this point in free agency. They re-signed Johnny Munt. They made a big splash with Jonathan Grenard, 4 years, $76 million, which kind of signaled that Daniil Hunter's likely going to leave. He's still out there. I'd be interested if I was the Bears. David Quesenberry, Blake Brandel, a couple of offensive linemen that they brought back. They double-dipped at edge. Andrew Van Ginkel gives them an edge hybrid there, 2 years and $20 million. And then Blake Cashman, 3 years, $25.5 million to bring in the off-ball linebacker. Now, I want to talk about the Packers. We'll get to the Bears in a minute. I want to talk about what the Packers have done because pretty interesting, right? Josh Jacobs, we still don't have the contract details. They then cut Aaron Jones, and I tweeted this out. I am not losing sleep if I'm a Bears fan to go from facing Aaron Jones to Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs is a good running back, but Aaron Jones just killed the Bears year after year after year. He's a much better pass catcher, has more juice, wiggle. Josh Jacobs probably a better physical runner, but I'm not losing that much sleep over that, so I'm fine with that. They just paid the bag for Xavier McKinney. Good player, but that's a big contract, 4 years and $68 million to get him in there. If you tell me McKinney at $17 a year, Kevin Byard at $7.5 a year, I'll take the Kevin Byard deal all day. So you've got that going on in Green Bay. We'll see where Aaron Jones ends up. Sounds like his market's already pretty strong. Detroit, up to this point, they re-signed Graham Glasnow. They brought back Craig Reynolds as well. That's kind of it. They lost Jonah Jackson. Where did he sign with the Rams, Roley? Big contract there. He leaves. Glasnow back in the mix there, so he returns to Detroit. They'll have to replace Jonah Jackson, obviously, but they've been pretty quiet overall. And let's get back to the Bears because we have some news on DeAndre Swift's contract. So obviously they signed Kevin Byard. Still haven't seen specific details in terms of cap hit for this year, but we do have DeAndre Swift's. Courtney Cronin and others report his cap hit for this year only $5.8 million. So while it averages $8 million per year, only $5.8 million this year. So that's good structure. The way it's structured, it's basically a 2-for-1. His first 2 years are mostly guaranteed. And then the third year, Albert Breer put it as virtually a team option. So if after 2025 they want to move on, there's basically no dead cap penalty. So he's here for the next 2 years. Beyond that, we'll have to wait and see. I told you guys earlier, I like the fit, productive runner for Philly last year, and a good pass-catching player. I think this is a guy who can give you 40, 50 catches. He's never had less than 39 in a season, and I think that's something that's been lacking in this offense, especially last year once David Montgomery left. Obviously, if you go back a few years, Tariq Cohen was a weapon out of the backfield, but DeAndre Swift can give you all that. He's an instinctive runner, and he's a threat in the receiving game as well. So $5.8 million cap hit for this year. Not bad whatsoever, especially when you see what Saquon Barkley got. 3 years, almost $38 million. That is a bag. All right, there you have it. Latest Chicago Bears news, NFL free agency news. As we're, 4 hours in to NFL free agency, 4.5, 5, depending on when you're watching this. Subscribe, turn on your notifications. As more news and signings come in, we will have you covered. Bear down. We'll see you soon.